Hi there, hope you're having a great day so far. Welcome to today's video. It's a sketchbook page that didn't really have any planning or purpose. There wasn't any planning or thinking because I didn't want to think anymore. I was just scrolling Pinterest and found this pin that I wanted to paint, and when I pinned it, I noticed that the pin next to it looked nice together. And it was like really serendipitous that they ended up together, so I painted them. I actually love how this page came out. I think it came out really well and creates like a really calm feeling, which helps with how hectic the world is right now. I made this video a little bit longer than usual because I realized that I like longer painting art studio vlog videos because I watch them while I paint or draw, and it's like we're creating together and doing art stuff together. I also included the references to today's video in the video itself and in the description below. I've added most of the references for my paintings in video descriptions, so if you want to paint those specific references along with me, you can. There were a couple of comments that mentioned that they'd like to hear about the painting process that the artist goes through in voiceovers and stuff, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about it, but I realized that I don't really think while I paint, so I can't really talk about the thought process that I have when I'm painting. I'm usually watching or listening to something else, and I think that might be why I'm not as conscious of my thoughts and decisions, so I don't really make the decision. It's not really conscious. It's very rare that it will be a conscious decision of like do this color instead of this color. It's usually like instinctual, very natural decisions. I think I've practiced enough with these kinds of paintings that I like to do that I know what I like and what I want to do in the moment. Although that's not to say that, like of course some of the decisions I make are bad ones, but I don't think I actively make them. I think I've just decided unconsciously that this is what my brain wants to do. But I can look back at the footage and can tell you a couple of things throughout this video that I noticed, and some that are decisions that I would consciously make now. And starting with this one, I really like this first painting the most because of how it's so subtle, and so the details really stand out. The photo itself is very simple, and so any detail that you add is very noticeable. So you have to be very careful and purposeful with what you choose to put down. I made the teapot a warmer toned orange than the actual photo itself because I thought it would balance out well with the cool toned background. And I'm really happy I did that because I think it does stand out more. That's like the only thing that really stands out in that photo, so I focused on that. And that is a decision that I would make, I guess. And also, this sketchbook is almost done, and so I'm running out of pages to fill. I kind of like did a hopscotch order of painting in here because I've had this sketchbook for like 3 years, and it's a mixed media sketchbook, and only one side is suitable for wet media, and some of those pages had sketches on them that I guess I planned to paint, but then I never did, and I don't feel like painting them now, so I erased them, and remnants of one of the sketches is on this page, where no matter how much I erased, there was always like some sort of shadow, I guess. So yeah, ignore that. I cover up most of it later. But yeah, once I'm done with this sketchbook, maybe I'll do a tour. Some of it is very, very old. Some of it is very, very simple. Some of it is actually just me doing doodles and testing out materials. But I think that's interesting too. You can see what I used to do with my art 3-ish years ago. I think it's a little less than 3 years, honestly. But yeah, there's a couple of Inktober sketches in here. I never finished an Inktober. I almost did the last year, but I didn't. But yeah, I think we've reached the swan part, and the swan part was, I think, the hardest thing on this page, because swans are white. And I had to be really careful about how to color in the swan. I didn't want to make it too dark, because once you make it a too dark swan, it would end up like a goose, I guess. Luckily, the reference is like the shadowy side because of the lighting and stuff, so I had some leeway with adding blue tones, and the water definitely helps too. The water was also a little bit difficult because there was a little bit of like perspective involved, and how water moves and capturing how water moves. I don't think I did it that well, but it's fine. I haven't really painted that much water. Maybe that's another thing I can work on. But yeah, it was definitely hard to make the swan not dark. And so I just kept building layer upon layer. I guess in terms of like material, I am still using the himi jelly gouache, but I'm using the leftover paint that's on my palette. And so as I reactivate it and as the pigment runs down, it's very watery and becomes like watercolor, which I am the most experienced with. Like, I've used watercolor the most, I think. And so I'm like really comfortable with using a very watery paint, and I think that's why I like to build layer upon layer. I also like adding colored pencil on top because it adds so much more detail and texture. I could add shadows and I could add lines, and it adds definition to make features that can be washed out and really flat stand out more, especially like if the colors are really similar. So like with the tile and with the stove, the features of it are really hard to see without the colored pencil. And I think this is my most preferred method of creating, of putting watercolor or gouache down and then going over it with pencil, you know, very mixed media stuff. And I'll know that I'm just putting down paint and then going over it with pencil, so I won't be so stressed about adding detail that can be lost with paint. Especially because with paint, you don't know how it's going to dry, and gouache, especially, the colors change as it dries and flatten because it's a very matte and flat paint. And even talking about that, like, I kind of want to go back to using thicker gouache paint. I did a couple of test paintings. You can see a couple of them in my past videos. They're like a little bit thicker, and I enjoyed that. I enjoyed how much more like gestural it was, and recently I've been more into like detail, but I think that's because I'm practicing it a little bit more, especially with like the perspective stuff. Like you kind of want it to be a little bit more detailed. But maybe I could do that also gesturally. We'll see. But yeah, I want to go back into using or I guess not go back into it. I haven't really done it, so I want to do that. Also, the color pencils that I use are the Prismacolor Premier color pencils. I got them as a set, like 12 set, and I use the black one the most, which is unfortunate because now that one's super short in comparison to the other ones, and it's just uneven, and I know I can buy them individually, but it's uneven and it bothers me. I think the red one is also like shorter. I use those the most, and I don't really know why. Well, I know the black one, but I don't really know why the red one is. I like sketching with color pencils too, so yeah. Yeah, I didn't really know what to put into that corner, so I just did a flower, which you'll see. And that, I added like a shadow to it too, just to make it look like it's on the page. But I don't know, it was just cool. That one was a conscious decision. I was like, I just want to do that because it's fun, and that's it. And that's all for today's video, I guess. I hope you liked it. Leave a comment down below if you like short or long videos. Like if you liked it. Did I say that already? I think I did. Subscribe if you want to see more. And I will see you in the next one. Stay healthy and safe, guys. Bye.